Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Ladar Gravelazi, and coming up in today's newscast. IDF attacks targets in southern Lebanon after a rocket was fired into northern Israel, and as tensions remain high over the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. U.S. President Joe Biden accepts Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett's invitation to visit Israel. What's on the agenda? And has Israel defeated the coronavirus pandemic? The Israel Defense Forces announced Monday morning that it attacked targets in southern Lebanon after a rocket was fired into northern Israel. Asaf Nissan with the report.
The Israel Defense Forces fired dozens of artillery shells into open areas in southern Lebanon early Monday, in addition to attacking an infrastructure target. IDF spokesperson Brigadier General Lt Col wrote on Twitter that Israel retaliated to, quote, make it clear to those on the other side that we do not intend to allow them to violate Israeli sovereignty, end quote. Kochav said that Israel has a variety of tools to respond, and there is no intention for the drip of rockets to continue, adding that the IDF will not get used to even a single rocket and will continue to respond as needed. He added that the IDF aims to ensure that the upcoming holidays in Israel, including Holocaust Remembrance Day, Memorial Day, and Independence Day, will pass in exemplary silence. On Sunday night, a rocket was fired from Lebanon into an open area in northern Israel near Kibbutz Matzuva. According to the army, no rocket sirens were sounded, and the Iron Dome was not activated to intercept the missile. The IDF spokesperson addressed the rocket attack across Hebrew language media Monday morning and said that while no group had claimed responsibility for the rocket attack, the IDF estimates it's most likely a launch by a Palestinian faction operating in southern Lebanon in solidarity with protests over the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The past few weeks have seen an increase in tensions in Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan over the Temple Mount, with Palestinians increasing rioting, calls on violence, and public support for terror groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad. And as a result, several rockets fired from the Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip towards southern Israel over the past week. Meanwhile, the United Nations Peacekeeping Force along the Israel-Lebanon border, or UNIFIL, issued a statement on Twitter urging common restraint in this volatile and ongoing situation.
And joining us now with more on the security situation in Israel is Lt Col Amnon Sheffler, the Israel Defense Forces spokesman for international media. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So how does Israel and the defense establishment view this shooting from the northern border?
We're aware of one rocket that was shot from southern Lebanon, and our current assessment is that this is a projectile that was launched by rogue terrorists aligned with the Palestinian factions in Lebanon. And we see this as a very, very serious event. We will not allow, and that is why we responded to these rockets, to this rocket. And our message is clear, both to the state of Lebanon and their government, to Hezbollah, and to any Palestinian terrorists and factions, that we will not allow this to continue.
Now, following this attack, should we expect an escalation on the northern front?
Well, we are a peace-seeking nation, and of course, we wish not to see any kind of escalation, not for the people of Israel, and also not for the people of Lebanon that are in a dire situation that is only being worsened by both Hezbollah terrorist organizations and others that are using that area to promote their terrorist activity. So we definitely not wish not to see any kind of escalation. But if needed, then we are ready to protect our civilians.
Now, what else can you tell us about the attack? I mean, you mentioned that Israel does have an indication as to who is behind it. What details can you give?
We have an assessment. We don't know for 100% at this time who's behind this. We think that it is related to Palestinian extractions, as I mentioned. But it is, as we're saying, the responsibility of the state of Lebanon.
To watch full episodes of ILTV's Israel Daily and tons of other content from Israel, visit our website at iltv.tv or download the ILTV Plus app.